Take two.
Take two,
Welcome
because
back.
we're too offensive. Coming to you live.
Thank God for the internet.
Coming to you live from a poorly lit room.
Woo!
I am your host, Stu Crook, and this is...
The totally not offensive and lovely individual.
Oh, very lovely. Like,
Thank you.
ladies, he's taken but gives no fucks.
Very small penis, though. Sorry, guys.
Same here.
I don't even actually think I've said my name yet. I am Corey. It is an absolute pleasure to meet you. I hope your day is going swimmingly. And fuck you, Uncle Jerry. I actually don't have an Uncle Jerry, but...
If he did,
Yeah,
he would be an asshole.
That's right.
I mean, what kind of assholes are named Jerry?
I think we've already covered that one.
Yeah, I think we can publicly state fuck Jerry's.
And now all the Jerrys have tuned out.
Yeah, which is fine.
I
Like,
feel like we're like crap. Like, what are those shitty fish that only eat off the bottom? You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
That's what we are. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's hone it in here. Let's get our shit together.
Okay, this has a purpose, despite our bipolar ADD. We're here to talk about music and stuff. And this dude I have known for...
A long ass time.
Yeah.
Shit, probably what, 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah. And we actually met in a pretty interesting way.
It was actually through what we're going to be talking about here momentarily. I think it was Jamie and Cole. I think.
Yeah, Cole and Jamie, yeah.
Yeah, they came over and like, hey, do you wanna jam? And I was like, no, but I'll still come anyway. And we got here. The only thing I remember from all that is like the horse trots. Got it, the horse trots.
Oh.
All the time. Yeah, you know. And for those of you who don't know, it's like the Metallica like. And I think that was actually a song. It was very deep and it moved me.
I mean, it was very in tune with the emotions.
Right, but let's see. Where do we even begin with this whole big mamma jamma?
Are we talking about how we met? Like, or...
Yeah. Let's and then we ended up playing for several months. I think. I actually this is where I am today, kids. Thank you, music. But I went to college at West Georgia. I think was a large part of it, and I was always like, you know what, fuck this, man. I want to play music. So I would leave my classes and come over here and play music.
Yeah, we would jam. This is back when I played drums. I played drums for about 7 years. I was homeschooled for the last 4 years of school, and I actually hung out with more people after that.
Yeah.
Which is backwards.
That's like an ironic choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was because of music. Going back to what I talked about in my less manic intro for this thing.
It was literally just us like.
Yeah.
30 minutes. But,
it's fun. It's fun.
That sounds like it'd be fun, but at some point that's just a dick in all of our asses.
Yeah. Everybody I hung out with back then was associated with music.
Yeah.
Like, Luke, this is a funny story for all of those who haven't heard it. I wanted to be a priest in 6th grade.
And on the 4th day. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, Jesus.
It's a funny story. In the last day of school, 6th grade year, a guy who is now my best friend, Luke, thought he would be an asshole to me and show me Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden.
Right.
Which, when I heard it, I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
like,
initially how you take to it, though.
Yeah,
you know?
like...
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'd never heard the horse trots and the harmonies and all that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
like, the lyrics that are, like, offensive but telling a story. And instead of me hating it, my response was, I love this. Where is there more of this?
Right, yeah.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it's like you opened the veil that was over your eyes for a long time. Because for me, like, growing up, you know, Probably the most hard rocking thing I'd ever listened to was like that really shitty Collective Soul song where he sings, like you know what I'm talking about?
The Yeah song?
Yeah, and I'm just like, gosh darn, this is a rockin' rootin' tootin' good time. And then like,
This is raw.
oh yeah, December. Oh,
This is what old dirty bastard was talking
yeah,
about.
if I could get a chubby right now, I totally would. But like, sorry guys, sorry grandma. But yeah, no, definitely, man. That stuff is. I think that in itself is kind of a statement. So many people from different walks of life that are completely crazy or are the most uptight people. They all appreciate one common factor in their life. And I think honestly that's one of the greatest things that we have to share with each other. You know what I mean? If you really think about it from like an evolutionary standpoint, we don't have these huge claws, or some of us have big muscles and all that shit. But like we don't have all those things, but it's our ability to be able to communicate with each other and really value each other, in that way. And that gives us this very, very beautiful common ground to stand on. I've met so many people just, talking like I love like Jimi Hendrix, stuff like that. That was the big eye opener for me, his expressive playing and, Axis Bold as Love is like the most beautiful thing. And to me that a message, when I first heard it, I didn't fully comprehend it. It took me several years listening to it. The idea of the song is that love, which is to me is a verb, can change the axis of a planet much like it can change the axis of a person. So I think that in itself is a powerful statement that someone had the like the foresight to see that, but they're allowing you to take that trip with them almost musically. You know what I mean? And that is just something to me that is unprecedented. That's why I have the endless enthusiasm. That's why you have, I think, all this like borderline obsessive behavior.
Yeah.
Sitting up at 3 in the morning, like, oh, this is the Phrygian scale, this is the Phrygian dominant scale, all this stuff. It's like you're collecting. It's like that badass dude on the PBS channel. It's like, oh, we're just gonna plant this little bush over
Bob
here.
Ross?
Yeah, dude. Like, make fun of that guy if you will. That guy is original fucking gangster, man.
No, Bob Ross like went for it. He went for like the passion, like
I
the,
love
the
it though.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what it's
I mean,
about. It's like, this is me. I'm a really strange man with an afro, but fuck you, I'm gonna paint my bush. You know what I mean? And like that stuff is so commendable, man. And I think that's why so many people, because we're born, I think, with this complex array of emotions, and to find something or someone especially, that was the thing to me when I first heard music. I was like, wow, this came out of someone. This is the byproduct of someone's very hard work. And then if you're so lucky, you get the ability to be able to do that, or the means to be able to take up an instrument, and then begins your walk to be able to find those colors that greatly represent who it is that you are on the inside, whether it be from the greatest tragedy you've ever felt, the fear, it's like I told you the other week, man. I spoke to a girl I thought was just absolutely beautiful. You know what I mean? I mean, God, just a gorgeous smile, just a beautiful person. And I got turned down, so that's probably why I'm so cynical. Nah, I was a dick long before that, but but it's like that's the stuff, man. That's the stuff that makes us feel alive. That's what makes us who we are. Those moments where we think we're gonna explode. Like for me, like being on stage is one of the scariest but coolest things ever. You know what I mean? You were so afraid. You're just like, oh God, how am I gonna do this? And now it's to the point, I do. I'm very very lucky in the sense that I get to do it a lot more now. And part of my income comes from that now, and I'm just so lucky to be able to do that. And I mean, some days you're just like, no, this, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? But you realize that there'd be a large lacking hole in your life if you weren't able to express yourself. And I think a large part of that is what it is to be an artist. I met this wonderful, delightful older lady who I've never met in person, but she wrote poetry, and I was like, man, I just want to talk to this person. And I said, hey, and I just kind of said, God, what you do means so much to me. What you write, what you say, the things like that. And now, because of that, we're really good friends. And last night, as a matter of fact, her birthday is today. She called me last night. She said, Corey, I'm having a really hard time making it through. I'm having a hard time transitioning into 73. We talked about art, and we talked about just the human experience. And this was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be up at 6. But You know, instead of being like vindictive and shitty about it, like, oh man, I gotta be out this selfish fucking cunt, you know. I could never call her that because she's a really, really darling woman, you know. That that to me is the stuff that I live for, you know. That's part of it. It's the human experience, and I hope to write a song about that later, you know. It's like that's for me. A part of being an artist is I feel something, but I have to get rid of it, you know. I can't stop until I write a song or do something musical to kind of exercise that negativity, you know, or happiness or whatever it may be, you know. You put yourself out there, and I think it takes this huge level of just being a brave and resilient person, you know. You have to put yourself out there so that other people can latch onto that, you know. That's, I think, our responsibility, definitely as an artist, you know. A lot of people, you know, like, how many times can you probably say back when you were in, like, at least for me when I was in high school, like, I took to the instrument so much so that I was just like, this, I mean, like this right here, this piece of wood with strings on, this is my security blanket, you know? This is what I feel safe with. If I don't have, this is so much a part of my personality that I think if I ever lost that, you know, I really don't know what I would do, you know? I've never been good at carrying on conversations or talking to people or any of those things, you know, but this has enabled me to be able to do so in a way that, you know, is poetic, you know? It's a journey. It forces you to delve into yourself in order to be able to. Hi guys.
Sorry, I'm moving it closer just to make sure that like we're capturing the stuff you're saying because
Yeah.
it's really. Anyway.
Because it's really fucking retarded. No, you know, but it's like, where was I? What was I talking about, Super?
Your inability to carry on conversations.
Yeah, no,
and
I
stuff.
can't do that, man.
Yeah.
Like for me, I cannot carry on simple small talk. Like it drives me insane. Like, so how's the weather? Well, fuck the weather, man. I don't care about the weather. I care about you. I care about how the weather makes you feel. You know, stuff like that. I want to have this really deep conversation with people, and the fact is, you can't always do that. But it's like, you know, what you open yourself up to when you take on the world of being a musician is those colors, you know, those colors that we can't achieve any other way, you know, and hopefully you find those like-minded people that are like, hey, yeah, you know, this is how I feel, you know. It's like to me when you play a chord or a lead or whatever it is that you're playing, it is a certain color, you know. It's an emotive thing, and you know, I'll be honest with you, some of the tiredest I've ever felt is after playing something, you know what I mean? Because it was so emotionally taxing, but it's like I was able to give that up so that other people in that audience could find their identity, latch onto that, and feel better because of me for, you know, however long, you know, and that's something I could probably never bring to them verbally, you know. So I just, as much of a burden as it may seem sometimes, I just feel so incredibly lucky to be able to do what I do and bring music to people, you know, and that's my identity. That's who I am, you know. And now I'm gonna probably go back to butt and boob and vagina and offensive jokes.
Yeah. Well, no, I definitely like agree with you there. Like part of the reason why I decided to be homeschooled for the last 4 years is like I couldn't connect or relate. Um, I was, I'm still overweight, but I was more overweight, um, and I got made fun of a lot too. So I just didn't feel like I connected with anybody. But I'd started playing drums with Luke and Tom, and that was my way to connect with people, and it was just my way to the world. You
Right,
know,
yeah.
for the first time in my entire life when I was doing that, I felt accepted. You know.
It's totally exhilarating, but
Yeah.
you know, it's funny. You feel such. Maybe it's just me because I'm fucking crazy, but like, you feel such extremes with music. You know what I mean? You could be listening to something one minute, and be like, yeah, man, I am totally just exonerated and excited and ready to go, and then the next minute you feel like you're being crucified. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But to be able to feel those depths of emotion, I think, is an absolute privilege.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, and it's always been my way to connect with people because you know, emotionally I'm pretty guarded. Uh, I'm an extremely sensitive person who's not exactly happy about that.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time like trying to bury that down. But through listening to music or playing music, it's my way to get rid of that like not what I view as baggage, because I think to not be a sociopath,
Yeah.
to actually feel these emotions is a blessing, but I don't know how to deal with it.
It's really tough, man. It's really tough. I mean, you really feel like some days you wake up and feel like total shit, man. Like some days I don't want to get out of bed. You
Yeah.
know? But to be honest with you, the chasing, the chase of man, I pursue this instrument, and I love it so dearly. I'm sitting here holding it like a newborn child.
Yeah.
It is. It's everything. For people like me, it's everything. And it's so nice to be able to meet like-minded people because it's like you understand, the and I think you definitely do. You understand the compulsive desire I have to, I only have six strings, to make you feel something that I can never ever tell you about. You know what I mean? I could never begin to tell you the depth of how I feel about something, but when you hear me, it's my job to practice enough to be able to relate that to you.
It's a second language, really. Like
Yeah.
it's a way to relate things that you can't put into words because sometimes words just don't really do the emotion justice.
Right, yeah. I was thinking about this on the way over here. I try to put everything in context. For me, the artist, and God, I love art. You know what I mean? Even the abstract stuff because I just so get it. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm just like, wow, that's amazing.
I
But
spent years listening to John Zorn, man. Like
yeah,
I get it. Like
yeah, it's our palette is silence. It's like a good stand-up comedian. Like there's a rhythm to it. To like Robin Williams or like Jerry Seinfeld. It's just like da 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 da. Blah, 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 and you're just like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't even really have to say anything, It's like that's our ability to take the silence, to take the mundane, and God, man, if I could write a song that speaks to one person on a bad day, like that's enough. And it's so sad to me now that I think there's been some great stuff that comes out, man. Like I'm a huge, huge fan of I love Devin Townsend. I think he's a great dude. John Frusciante is my spirit animal. Like that's the guy that I'm just like, I love this guy.
Devin Townsend's mine, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I always get constantly compared to oh, you sound like Slash. I'm like, hey, fuck you, man. But it's like, I mean, even that's a compliment, because he made it to the household name where people, I think if Slash or like Stevie or Jimmy or any of those guys had been any less of the songwriter than they were, they would have just been like the Joe Satriani's and Steve Vai's and Andy Timmons and Petrucci's and all that stuff of the world. Appreciated by musicians, but
Never really connecting to the outside world.
never being able to relate. It's like Guthrie Govan. I think is like I'm just like, oh man, this guy is the bee's knees. And when I listen to it, I get that fulfillment. But I couldn't expect somebody to listen to like the Aristocrat, and just be like, oh wow, this is really neat. Oh man, did he throw a flatted fifth in there? I've tried making musical, like music theory jokes before, and people are just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know that much theory, but I know slightly more than the average person. So if I make like a time signature joke, like, you know, everybody looks at me like, what?
What
Or
the
like,
fuck are you talking about?
yeah, it throws people off. But yeah, it was definitely my way to connect. And essentially, what happened with me and drums is everybody got older and started going their separate ways and doing things and creating their own lives. And I've ended up doing that myself, but
Right.
at the same time, I love drums. Don't get me wrong. Like, a very fun instrument to play. I mean, you get to hit shit.
Yeah.
And it's not hurting anything. It's creating these rhythms, this backbone, this thing that can make people move. Like, it makes people want to, like, tap their foot or dance or
Relate.
whatever.
Somebody,
Yeah. And it's great, but after about 2 or 3 months of just doing it by myself, like playing alone in a room, it became like just masturbation, I didn't get that connectivity that I got when I was playing with, say, like you or Rick or any of the people that I played with,
Right. Yeah.
because there's that moment when you're just like going with the flow, just improvising and jamming and extrapolating on these ideas where you're both kind of going on this journey and ending up in different places but the same place.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't have that when I was playing drums alone.
Right.
So I just started to lose the passion for it. But what happened after that is music is such a part of me. Having
Yeah, it's a calling. Yeah.
Yeah, especially having grown up in like a very musical household. Um, my family were all musicians. Mom's side was singers,
Yeah.
which I'm terrified of.
Yeah.
I hate the sound of my voice.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah, but dad, he was a fantastic steel guitarist, and it's like I was kind of bred for it in a sense. Not that that's why I felt compelled to do so, because dad, having done it professionally and everything, always warned me about like the downs of it, and he didn't really want me to get into it, but I couldn't help it.
It's not something you can, if you fail to answer that calling, I think in any aspect of life, you somehow negate yourself of an excitement that cannot be replaced by anything else.
Right, right.
You know, who you're talking about with the drums. I got that too. Like, I'll be honest with you, I hate the sound of the guitar just by itself. I think it drives me crazy. There's this time that like guitar players sit down, like the Paul Gilbert shit, like, well, okay, well, I'm just gonna sit here do that shit for 45 minutes. I call that the fappening.
Yeah, yeah. It's very like wanky.
It's so lame, dude. It's like, I love those guys and I think they sound great, but, I would much rather listen to like a Bob Dylan tune than, you know what I mean, some crazy shred fest. There have been some really great guys. Like, I think Steve Vai's, like, For the Love of God, has crossed that threshold. Every
Oh
time I
yeah.
listen to him, just like, sploosh. But it's like, that's their journey, man, and like it or not, that's their statement, and that's what I love about it. I can even respect stuff that I don't like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why it's so hard for me to identify with like the Ariana Grandes and like the Iggy Azaleas and all that stuff, and like there's just nothing behind it. Yeah, I'm a dirty slut. I'm just like, oh wow, that's very deep and articulate. Thank you so much for that.
I never would have known by the way you're dressed on stage.
Oh yeah. Oh man, really?
Thank you for telling me.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. I'm glad sex with you would be so great. I couldn't imagine anything I would enjoy less than that actually. Except it. Anyway, we're trying to keep this.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, after I stopped playing drums, I didn't want to just give up music completely. And can I see that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
My biggest hang up with like guitar was the fact that I'm born with nerve damage
Right.
in my left hand as a result of when I was in the womb. I wrapped the umbilical cord around my neck, so when I was born not breathing. And I also came out ass first because this started early. I do everything completely backwards. Apparently that started early on.
Yeah.
And they had to do an emergency C-section, and they never thought I would use my left hand for anything at all.
Right.
So like chords and stuff were difficult and still are, but it's just like working at it and keeping at it and finding ways to cheat. The reason why I do the tapping things I do is because of the lack of motor skills in my left hand.
Right.
But I feel such a drive to do this that
You can't stop.
yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
everybody always talks about like how hard it is when they first start, but if you really want to do it,
You're gonna
just
do
keep
it.
do it.
Yeah,
keep
it doesn't
doing
have to be
like-
great, man. Some of the greatest guitar players, in my opinion, like yeah, the little thing BB King does all the time, like the. I
Yeah,
was like, why does he do that? Like, that's really cool and really kind of neat, but why does he do that? He's like, I'll be honest with you, I just don't know what the fuck to play when I do that.
yeah.
So he just does, pew, but it works. It worked. It's your landscape to create and build as you want, and that's the beauty of it. And I'll be honest with you, man. You're talking about coming out messed up like that. Probably about, I think it was in March. I used to do forestry for a living, climb trees, do all that stuff. I fell out of a tree and I broke my back, And honestly, that was the best experience of my life, you know, because you were kind of forced to take a look at what it is that defined you. You know what I mean? And so there was a lot of guitar playing going on because I couldn't do a whole lot else, you know, and even that hurt. But it was like, man, this is. I realized how much I love this stuff and how much I need it to be who I am. You know what I mean? And it's just such a privilege to forever be in that pursuit of what it is that we hope to express to people. I mean, like it may be a bit crazy and out there, but you know, I feel like there are days like, you know, like I've already probably named a lot of guitar virtuoso dudes and Hendrix and Stevie Ray and you know all that stuff, but my absolute favorite artist, and this is kind of what the conclusion I've come to. By the way, if you haven't watched Dave Grohl's 10 Steps to Success or whatever, one of the best things I've ever seen.
Oh, Dave Grohl's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a killer dude.
Yeah, no, like he's just a really good dude, and there's the elitists or purists or whatever who talk about how Nirvana's the only good thing he'll do, and everybody kind of looks down on him. But
dude, screw that. You're missing out on such a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was listening. I don't think it's this great grand rock amazing thing, but like I was listening to Audio Slave on the way over here, and you know it's like you're kind of like turned off because Chris Cornell's kind of a doucher and you know stuff like that. Amazing voice, but you know you can tell he's kind of a prick.
Yeah.
But sorry, Chris. But like that was awesome. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, this is really cool. This is a really cool thing. You know, you're getting to see these people express themselves in a way, you know, and when it works with great grace and and you know just panache, it's like, oh wow, this is something I can totally get behind. It makes all those. What you want to do, I think, as a musician, is you don't want people to. You want to get to the point where people don't think that you struggle to do it. You know what I mean? And then the truth is, you do. You'll spend 10 hours, you know, like doing that kind of crap, and then you get out on stage and you get to do it once in a bar for maybe 30 seconds, but it's, you know, to you that's everything, you know, because you know it's trials and tribulations manifesting itself in a positive way, something that you work for, you know. And this is something else I was kind of thinking of in terms of music. Sorry, I'm like I feel like I'm dominating this conversation too much, so feel free to, you know, say anything.
No, by all means. I mean, this is just like a stream of consciousness type thing. Like, despite the jackassery at the beginning, and don't worry, there's more to come. We're jackasses. It's just going with the flow, man.
Yeah.
So
no, like I think as men, you know, and you know, I'm not saying, you know, I'll be the first to say I think the old traditional gender roles and all that stuff are crazy, but that's a story for another time. We as men don't have the ability that women do, you know, and that's the truth, to create life. They do the single most significant thing on the face of this earth, you know, they're able to give life to something. And we as guys can't do that, you know. Which, you know, I'm kind of glad because it looks like it might suck a little bit.
yeah, it's painful.
But
Not speaking from experience, but
the worst I ever had was constipation. But like, you know, we seek to create where we cannot create life. We seek to create in other ways, you know. And I think that's what, you know, maybe part of the drive is.
it's either that or like fueling like destructive tendencies is a counter thing, which I struggle with myself.
Oh yeah.
I think that everybody does. Essentially, you know, everybody has both aspects to them, like you know, the wanting to create, and maybe as a frustration as a result of the seemingness of that's probably not a word, but fuck it.
You're good. Yeah.
Of yeah, but fuck it. But fuck the concept that seamless is not a word. The first glance of the fact that you're unable to create feeds destruction.
Cynicism.
Yeah, cynicism. Like this bitterness in people. And I think the biggest thing, especially about like art and creating things, is your ability to actually build and create something. Like, and I think that's healthy. And I think.
Oh yeah, you know. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. I think a big thing with like people in general, especially these days, is like, and I struggle with this myself. Everybody's so bitter. Everybody's so destructive, and one reason why I want to do this, especially, is like it's making something, it's creating something. You know,
Right. Yeah.
even just putting our random sporadic conversation out there. Kind of feeds the notion that other people are able to just be creative and you can do healthy things.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I guess in that perspective, I guess I have 2 points. One, there really is, and this has been the truth that I've discovered. There's the force of hate and there's the force of love, and they disguise each other sometimes. You think you're doing this completely loving act, but it could be, for the complete wrong reasons. You're doing it for your own love, and I think music can be one of the most self-indulgent, but definitely one of the most, like all-encompassing things too. Like I honestly, I don't play for me. I don't practice for me. I mean, I do to an extent, but for me, it's for other people. It's I feel an obligation and a responsibility to make somebody's day. I mean, even if it's just me on the ukulele playing bacon pancakes, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like it's so silly when it's a passing maybe 30 seconds, but it's like, oh, Corey, you're silly. That's like that's a thing that I am very excited to do for people. It takes them away from the mundane kind of crap that we all live in. And I just think that in itself is, it helps you. It makes you, if you let it, it makes you a selfless individual. And I think that's the best place that we can be.
and I find that like personally speaking, like just because I really, you know, I don't have the technical ability or know how to be one of those really flashy people, and I never played for that because I could never do it. It was more for just like the expressive side, just getting that stuff out there and like sharing it was the most terrifying thing
Oh yeah.
to me. And I just started. The reason why I put like random snippets on Facebook is it's just like I had to start doing that because it's really the most actualized, honest part of myself,
Yeah.
and it was the most terrifying thing to
Oh God,
actually
yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of it, though. It's like, man, any like I have a like social anxiety, so I'm like flipping out right now,
yeah,
you
me
know.
too.
But it's like that's the stuff that makes us live. That's the stuff that excites us. You're only, and this is probably a thing, but you're only really as old as you feel you are, man. If you let the weight of the world extinguish your inner child, your inner spirit, your inner excitement, man, you've already lost the fight. And I think that's what original music was created to do. One of the best songs I've ever heard, man. And Bob Dylan, God, he sounds like a skunk's asshole. You know what I mean? When he sings, but it's like, what does it make you feel my love? That's just like, wow, man, that is just pure love for another person. You know what I mean? And when he sings it, it's like, wow, what is it? I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue, you know. I'd go like crawling down the avenue, make you feel my love, that desperation, man. You know that he feels that too, and in that I find strength. It's like, man, if Bob Dylan can do it, and with what he's got and the tools that he has, not create something so much greater than this, what's being put in, then maybe I can too. And I think that in itself is a completely empowering thing. You know what I mean? That's like musical boner, but like that's what it's all about, man. You know, you've met so many great people in your life, for a reason, I think, and for me, definitely music was a huge part of that. It's like Kirk Hammett. I can't stand Kirk Hammett, but I love Kirk Hammett. You know what I mean? It's one of those things I can't waka 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 all the time. It's like, this is awful.
It's like Pac-Man.
It sounds like he's like a bitch slapping goose, like a goose or something. Like, when you hear him sit down and really talk about it, I'm like, wow, Kirk, I hate you so much, but I love you at the same time. You know what I mean? You can find this endearing spot in your heart for someone that you never thought that you would really enjoy. And he is. Everybody in that band is pretty easy target. But they've also created, and I honestly believe this. This is probably going to be like, oh, I love like Master Puppets and like stuff like that, but the Black Album was a great album. I'm gonna say it.
I agree.
It's like that's when their songwriting hit that like hey, we can fuse these kind of semi-pop elements, with this other stuff, but really it's just great songwriting. You know what I mean? And every time you feel it, you're just like, oh man, you know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Every time I hear like "Nothing Else Matters," like I feel something.
It's
You
yeah,
know?
it's got this anthemic like kind of feel to it. You're just like, yeah, I get it, man. I get where you're coming from. It's like for me, man. When I listen to John Frusciante, I can't remember the name of the song now, but there's one part where he just says, "Shoot me," you know what I mean? And I felt like that many days.
Is that Curtain?
No,
it's not Curtain.
no, it was off the Imprint album.
Oh, that's a great album.
That is that is my favorite album, I think.
That is a really fantastic. We spent a lot of time when like we were first starting to hang out and spending like a lot of time jamming and stuff. We listened to that a lot.
Oh, that's
a
like
lot.
and what's cool about it is it's out there for people to find, but it's like our silent little whisper, our little secret that nobody else knows about.
Yeah.
And you get to turn people onto that. It's like that is awesome. When people are like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. Sir Mix-a-Lot has his place, and God bless him, but like I do like Big Bucks, but
Yeah, I mean it's undeniable. Like I can't lie.
even white boys gotta shout, but
Yeah.
yeah, at least it's not. But like,
sounds like you're vomiting.
I think we just created a new genre, but I always wanted to create Bobcat Goldthwait metal, but chun 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 chun. But it's like that's the stuff, man. It's our quiet little lullaby that puts us to sleep and or wakes us up depending on where we're at in life, and I think he should be so proud of himself for creating something like that, and that's definitely my desire. It's like no matter what I do, how far I go with it, I always feel like I could do better, and I think the day that you stop feeling like you could do that, then it's over.
Yeah.
You know?
Like there is no top. Maybe there is like a level of success where like there's monetary value and all that and fame and attention. But really it's, there is no the Empyrean is it Empyrean?
Tomato, tomato.
Okay. For the sake of this I'm gonna call it the Empyrean. Is the highest point of heaven.
Right.
And personally, I feel like there's no like really achieving that. You can always ascend higher,
Right.
in
Yeah,
a sense,
definitely.
or maybe not in like technical ability or anything like that, but in terms of
Yeah. It's like, when have you heard I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I love to listen to like Toast and Abasi, like Animals as Leader stuff. It's awesome.
yeah,
It's killer and I love it, but at the same time, I'd rather put on like a Sia record,
right,
That's the stuff that, like, wow, you're a pop artist, but I love you so much. To be honest with you, Steve, Sia is not a good looking woman, but if she came out tomorrow and was like, Corey, I love you, I'd just be like, take me. Like, she's just, that's, I mean, like, if Aretha Franklin came up to me and
oh
was
yeah,
like, hey, baby boy, I need me some white chocolate in my life. I'm like, oh yeah, baby. I hope you're not diabetic.
I know she's like 97 years old at this point, but I'm like that with Stevie Nicks, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
Fleetwood Mac is great to me.
Oh, dude, she, to me, especially even with her solo career,
Oh yeah.
she covered angst in a way that I've never heard before. Like, what's that White Winged Dove song? I used to sing it to embarrass people.
17.
You're like the White Winged Dove. I guess that would be with Michael McDonald.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But like that stuff, man. It's like it's angst, and I love that.
Yeah.
If she can express that kind of stuff,
Yeah, like speaking of like Fleetwood Mac, I had never really listened to them before, and I was at Gamers, a video game shop that's next to Walmart.
Yeah,
and,
totally cool dudes.
Yeah.
If you've never been there, I would really recommend.
Yeah.
Going. Super great guys, and a lot of places you go, like GameStop, it has like such a like, oh yeah, we're GameStop, we're the Guitar Center of the game world. These guys are totally about it. It's like, you know, you can mention anything. If you like, if you say the name Final Fantasy in there, I'm pretty sure there are people splooging all over the place. So it's refreshing, you know.
Oh, it's a great place. But I was in there and I saw The Dance by Fleetwood Mac, and I realized, I mean, it was $3, and I realized that I never really gave Fleetwood Mac a chance.
Yeah.
So, um, I bought it because I figured $3 isn't a big loss if I didn't like it.
Right.
So I went home, called a buddy over. Hey, I got Fleetwood Mac's The Dance. He came over and we got beer. We're sitting there drinking beer and watching The Dance. Like men do, like real men do, you know.
Hardcore.
Yeah, just two dudes drinking beer, listening to Fleetwood Mac.
We chopped down the tree beforehand, just
Yeah,
to say
no,
masculinity, testosterone. But
We wore flannel the entire time. Don't worry, guys,
right,
it's fine.
it's cool.
But when Go Insane came on, we both stopped talking,
Yeah.
and we were mesmerized by it. And after that, I showed everybody I knew the song. And I had one friend who said something really beautiful about it. It's just like, I hope to feel the way that Lindsey Buckingham felt when he plays and sings that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's like, no, I totally understand. I have a very similar experience. It's like, I'm gonna be honest. I love Prince. Like, you know, that may not be like the most profound thing ever said, but like, my God, that little midget bastard could write a fucking song.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I'm actually gonna get this guitar painted purple in tribute to Prince.
Oh really?
Yeah, but you know, like I listened to that, and I remember when I first bought the record, I was like, let's, you know, put it on my little record player and let it spin around. And I was sitting there listening to it, and I was like, okay, so what's up with this? And Let's Go Crazy came on, and I'm just like, what in the fuck is this shit? You know, like,
Dearly beloved.
we're gathered here today to get through this thing called life, and I'm just like, oh, this is really gonna be gay. I know it is. And then like, Let's Go Crazy comes on, and I'm like, holy shit, I want to go crazy. You know, this is badass. And then, you know, I went on to discover, like, I mean, like, for me, I'd always known about Purple Rain, the song, but I would always been like, you know, it's kind of like super bad. I was like, you know, I don't know if I want to watch this because I've heard so much about it already. But it was one of the few things, like maybe like a Radiohead album too. You know, like you hear so many good things about it, but when you finally hear it and experience it for yourself, you're like, oh man.
Oh, In Rainbows is great.
Yeah,
like,
this is like the mecca. You know?
Yeah.
This stuff is amazing. You know, and I don't know. It's just it's a neat and fun experience to be able to share that with other people. You know.
Yeah. Well, we get way off topic.
What the fuck are we even talking about now?
So that's how we met, and this is why we're friends. Wow.
We're professional bullshitters.
Yeah, no, really. This has been really great, though. But speaking of terms of like the whole like success things, one of the most powerful moments I've ever had is I was asked, because my father, who recently passed away, for those of you who don't know, thank you for all who were really supportive, this guy included. I haven't had time to personally like thank everybody for the things that they did, donating or whatever, but thank you guys so much, and it really means the world to me that everybody did that. But when we were trying to pick out songs for the memorial, they asked me to try and write something, and I never wrote anything before, and and I had a deadline too, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
I had like a 2-week deadline, which I did not meet, and one of the most recent things that I'd posted on Facebook of me just sort of playing, which is something that I just improvised, like, I don't know, I turned on like Heavy Delay or something on this practice amp and just sort of just went for it. Because I never just like went with the flow and just sort of played something and see where it went. And I named it something like Snickers. As a defense mechanism, because I was like, oh shit, I actually put myself out there emotionally. Better give it a fucking joke title.
I'm not myself when I'm hungry.
Yeah. And my grandmother after the fact was asking me to play guitar for her, and I I'm I'm not like a showcasey sort of thing, so I denied it, and I was like, well, here's some stuff that I have. You can listen to it, and I showed her and mom, and I left the room because I am terrified of the reaction
Oh
or the
yeah. Oh
response that
yeah.
I'd get. So it's like not to look these people in the face
Yeah.
was my
Yeah.
response. So I left the room and
Yeah.
listened for when it was over. And when it was over, I walked in, and mom was just crying.
Hmm.
And she looked at me and goes, "Did you write that for your dad?" And I said, "No." But I guess in a sense, I was channeling the emotions that I'd felt from
It
that.
comes, yeah. It's sincere.
Yeah.
You can't control the flow of it. It comes. You know, it emotes for because that's how you feel.
And she was crying, which made me start to cry. I'm a man. Um, but yeah, no, because that struck me uh, pretty hard. The fact that I could do something that made anybody feel that way or think that way, you
Oh
know?
yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. For me, this is really probably kind of sadistic and fucked up. But me and my grandma, ever since I was a little kid, she's kind of known that I'm a depressed person. You know what I mean? We've sat there and we've had these talks that really only we can understand. And this is so fucked. But I'll call my grandma, go, hey grandma, let me play something. And if she cries, it's a keeper. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, sorry, grandma.
And it was just a weird experience to me. The fact that I felt all these emotions from music and all these things, and I never thought that I could create that myself. Like, I never thought that I could invoke these emotions in
Yeah,
other people.
yeah.
And when I saw it, I mean, it was the most amazing thing in the world to me, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother asked me to play that at her funeral, which was like the biggest honor,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
definitely, man.
So, um, it's it's a very powerful thing, and it connects like all these emotions that I was feeling. I guess when I played that, essentially, like I was terrified of, and like I couldn't really talk about them.
Yeah.
But the fact that I sort of put them out there
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
in a healthy way, and found that relation or acceptance was a really great thing.
Yeah. It's that thing that we can speak to other people with, and they can speak back to us, and you know, it's for me. I'll be honest with you, man. The hardest thing for me to accept is like when somebody compliments me on something. I'm just like, oh man, how do I keep this? How do I take this thing that I just received and put it in confidence, but keep it out of ego? And that
I struggle with that as well.
it's like I don't want to be a dick and be like, no, fuck you, man. Like that was awful. I could have done so much better. That's why I think it's a self-growing thing. Music is too, because it makes you come to terms with things that you're terrified of. And God, that's just a privilege. It's one of the best experience. It's the best and worst experience of your life, and
And that's love.
yeah, that's
Because,
love, man. You got to choose it every time, and the fact is we don't. But we got to. We got to learn at least to do our best.
and it's always like keep trying. And, if you truly love something, you're always going to keep trying. Because, like, even through the worst or the negative aspects or the pain or the fear or whatever, it's like if you really love something, you're going to keep trying.
Yeah, yeah,
And
100%, man.
it's this interconnectivity to the entire world that really like brings all musicians to keep doing it no matter what, keep loving it, keep trying it.
Oh yeah.
If they really love it, they're never going to give up, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, 100%, man. 110%. There's that 10% that is just that intangibility. That I think makes us practice on days when it rains in our hearts.
When you feel like you're just like the worst and like you have like nothing to offer, even musically, it's like you keep at it, you keep at it, you keep doing it just because something drives you.
Because it is who you are, man. It is. I mean, you can go scientific aspect or spiritual aspect. Me, I choose to live in the land of crazy with the spiritual stuff, but it completes you. It makes you the whole picture that you are. There's a saying that I love, man. It says if you wait to be the man or woman that you think you should be, you'll never do anything. And it's nice to go back as like kind of a periodical of where I've been and where I'm going and listen to that stuff. It's like, oh man. Sometimes it's like, oh God, that was awful. I wrote a song about green beans or something really, really stupid. But then there's that one that you and the best feeling for me is when I play something for somebody like, did you write that? Was that you? You're a dick. How did you come up with that? And it's like, well, I think we all have this facade that we put on. I call it a Sunday face. We put on to save face and character in the midst of adversity. But when you can bypass that, I think you're not only successful as a musician, but as a person too.
I really agree with that.
Yeah.
Because, when I was like 16, 17, I had this idea that I was going to write like a concept album. It was going to be a double album. One half was going to be about like emotional barriers and being guarded. And that was going to be the side that I'd hid behind this metaphor of constipation.
Right?
I kid you not. This is how my mind works. And the second half of that was going to be about being too open or too out there.
The emotional shitty release.
Yeah, diarrhea. So it's like I had the idea to call this incontinence.
If you hadn't have told anybody about the concept, there would be somebody out there like, oh my God, that's amazing. I need an emotional enema.
I never finished that. But, there's things that, like, I find that, like, when I try and force a concept or an idea or a sound, it never works. It's all about just going with the flow, and then it happens naturally.
Yeah. For me, like, this is a really weird thing. If I'm contriving a lead for something, I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. Like, this kind of shows you that you can draw from any form of music. I'll think about, like, some easy E or, like, something like that, but shit, motherfucker, and I'll just put, like, you come up with it that way, And it feels sacrilegious sometimes because you're, like, playing this really dirty beat in your head, and, like, doing that kind of stuff, but it works, And that's, I guess one of the more, I'm fucked up, y'all.
And we all are. We're going to take a break for a moment and actually get into the meat and potatoes of this, because I have to urinate. I've had a lot of coffee, so we'll be back in a moment.
Ciao.